guys, it's Peaky Pundit here and I'm with producer Pav. Pav, how are you after the weekend?
Still recovering, mate.
Still recovering.
Still hoping there's going to be a sign-in announced to hopefully cure that, but yeah, it's still recovering from a disappointing loss.
So guys, just before we do go on, firstly we went past our 1,000 subscriber mark in the week after the weekend's uploads from the fan cam. So thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. If you haven't, and it's the first time you're tuning in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Also, as you know from our videos, we're here in Bedford. We're from Bedford, so thanks to the team at Tavistock Pub and Carvery who have given us their facility to come and record, and we'll hopefully be bringing you more of our kind of debates that we're going to be doing from here. And if you're from the area, be sure to come in and check out their carvery. It is absolutely
best carvery in Bedfordshire.
It is indeed. But look, guys, moving on. So we've got a lot to discuss today. We want to touch on the Paul Pogba at United topic. We want to touch on Ed Woodward and the comments he's come out with after United's results of the third financial quarter of the year, and also player criticism throughout the season, and a little bit on Darren Fletcher being mentioned as being the director of football at the club. But look, going into Paul Pogba, Pav, a lot's been made.
Let's get straight into it, man.
Through the season, especially since we had that bad run of form with the team after Solskjaer signed his full-time deal. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go into it today. You know, this is what this video is about. We're going to discuss Pogba. Obviously, the thing happened on the weekend. We discussed it in the Matchday vlog as well about the swearing and the fan, and there's been a lot of videos on YouTube circulating about that reaction. So we're not going to go too much into the video. It's been talked about a lot, but we're going to mention it because it's obviously still valid. It's been Pogba's best season domestically. You know, even at his time from Juventus to where he is now. So you know, tell us a bit about some of his stats.
So going into the stats, look, 47 appearances over the season for United, 16 goals and 11 assists. Now, albeit 16 of them goals, 7 of them were penalties. So does that kind of take a bit of an edge off it? But as you said, I remember when he was at Juventus, when United were going after him, people spoke about him. You know, he was absolutely flying while he was there. So to come out, I wonder how many people would, think that was his best season statistically.
A lot of people are saying that he played shit for 4 months.
Yeah.
Ollie came in, played good for 2 months, and back to shit for
I want to touch on that as to why. Because I personally think I've seen some of his best performances as a United player in the first 3 or 4 games when Ollie first came in.
He had that freedom, and he was just spanking teams. He was controlling it. He was dominating it. Him and everyone. It just flowed. It was all around him, and it flowed, and we were just smacking teams.
That's what I want to go into, because I went on to a couple of the fan cams after a few games, and I was asked the question: Pogba in or out? And I was adamant. I remain Pogba in. Where do you stand on this?
I don't like to be on the fence, man, but I can't. I've spoken to before the Cardiff game. I was Pogba in.
Yeah.
I was always down that he's the guy for us. He's a global superstar, and on his day he can turn a game around and he can win you a game. But then after seeing the Cardiff game, after that second goal, he just didn't care. When a player lets that go, albeit final game of the season, not much to play for, but got to have a bit of self-respect. You've got that badge on the shirt, man.
I completely get what you're saying, and I want to back up why I'm saying Pogba in, and I might get a lot of stick off this, from saying this, but for me, over the years with United, we've seen teams built around or including one luxury player.
Yeah.
We had the King Cantona for many years, who could literally do anything he wanted because he was that good.
Yeah.
And then we had sort of Ronaldo, was in that same mould.
Berbatov
as well,
extent,
bit of a luxury player, and for me, Pogba is that kind of mould of a player.
Yeah.
He is world class. There's no doubt about it. We've seen it with France at the World Cup. And people say, but we don't see that form produced consistently for United. But my big question and my big thing around it is I don't believe the squad around him, the players around him are good enough to allow him to do that. And for me, just touching on the Solskjaer thing that we mentioned, the first 3 or 4 games, like you said, he came in and everything went through Pogba. He was given free role, kind of number 10 role, do what you like. But a lot of the play went through him and he made things happen and he looked like he was enjoying his football again. Then we had that kind of spell where we had a lot of injuries, especially in the midfield areas. And then what we saw with Pogba, he was having to play a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And often of the left of the 3 in the middle of the park. So he was drifting out wide to the left quite a lot, which I think restricted how he could influence the game. And we used to see it with Paul Scholes for England, when they used to play Gerrard and Lampard in the middle of the park and put Scholes out on the left. And Scholes would never be a player who drifts out wide. He likes to be in the middle of the thick of things, make things happen.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Pogba, what I found, we saw him go missing towards the end of the season, and I think a lot of it was just due to frustration, because he doesn't want to do that shift. It's like asking Ronaldo or
I think
Cantona.
that might be one of the reasons why him and Fergie never worked out. Because Fergie did often put a lot of players out of position for the sake of the team. I think, was it the Champions League final he played Rooney? What was it, on the wing?
On the wing, he played him wide.
One major game where he took a big player out and put him on the a position which isn't normal for them.
Yeah.
Pogba's not that sort of player.
No, and that's the thing. Why I refer to Cantona and Ronaldo and Berbatov, like you mentioned, because if you asked one of them players to do a shift in terms of tracking back or filling in defensive positions, I don't think you would see the best out of them. And they're going to use a lot of energy, doing that defensive work. But these sort of players, when they get the ball, you want them to make things happen. But he was fucked. From doing so much defensive work, he was using up a lot of energy. And I think that's why we saw his performances dip. But look, obviously on social media, we saw a lot of criticism for Pogba. And
do you think there's an agenda against him?
I don't know, because I'm going to mention it. Is it racism? You don't know. People can say, but look at the day and age we're in. Racism's not even it, but it is. This season we've seen it.
Racism's still in the sport.
Yeah.
Look, we saw it with the Sterling incidents. We saw it with the England chants.
It's happened a lot.
That Chelsea game with Sterling, that's terrible to see, man. It's still in the game, and unfortunately, it's still in the game. It probably always will be.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's not as glamorised as it used to be.
I don't think that's the main thing. But then obviously we think, is he being singled out? And if so, why is he being singled out? And I think as United fans, I think we do kind of single him out a little bit because we believe he should be
price tag,
won the World Cup,
gives it big on social media, that sort
of thing. At the end of the day, he's human. In the day and age we're in now, I think you can't expect professional football players, especially of his age, to stay off social media. They're all at it. They're all going to be on it. It's just documented very, very well because of his performances. Do you think
he helps himself?
No, he doesn't.
With
massively.
The haircuts
and
all the Adidas campaigns and all that sort of stuff.
The whole flashiness of it doesn't help him at all. Yeah. Look, mate, if you're playing well and you're getting us 3 points every week, keep on doing whatever you're doing, mate. We don't care. But he's got to understand.
Penalty run-ups,
that sort of
he
stuff.
wants to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
So you've got to be the centre of attention in the good times and the bad times. But that fan at the end of the Cardiff game, I think that was a bit too far. I mean, end of the day, Pogba's gone over to the fans to address them, final game of the season. You shouldn't be swearing to that extent to a player. Look, albeit you're allowed to criticise players with fans at the end of the day who pay, well-earned money to go watch and support the club. You can criticise a player, but where do you draw the line? What do you think is criticism and what's abuse?
Look, I've been at games where I've been on the terraces and you
played yourself as well.
Played yourself, and when you're watching, if someone you can clearly see a lack of effort.
Yeah.
As a fan, I think you're more than entitled to have a go. At that point in time,
you can have
of course. Yeah. But I think singling him out on that lap of honour on Sunday, we saw the video, I think that's bang out of order as a fan. Yeah. I think we all have to draw a line. Yes, it frustrates us.
It's not going to help us trying to persuade him
to stay,
or try and change his decision because. If you're getting that from a fan, in that end where that's where our most support comes from in terms of the chanting and fans giving you that, and you're already thinking about possibly Madrid.
It's not going to do any favours for the club.
It's just going to tip you over the edge.
And the thing is when you kind of look at the players, who are kind of going on that lap of honour as well, they kind of accepted that not all the fans were happy, but then Pogba again, sarcastically or not, was clapping the fan a bit.
Yeah, I mean he was a bit sarcastic back. He knew the cameras were on him, so he probably wanted to, highlight, this is how I'm being treated here.
Yeah. At the same time, look, if it come out in the summer where Pogba come out and said, or made it clear that he didn't want to be at the club or wouldn't mind a move to Madrid. Look, by all be
he's getting this abuse after his best ever statistically domestic season.
Yeah.
Then you look at it on paper and you think he's been our best player this season.
Yeah.
And he's the one getting cussed out the most. It is when you look at it like that, it's a bit poor. But then when you drill down into the games, you drill down into the form,
the nitty gritty,
the whole Jose Mourinho saga of it, then it is a little bit. It is deserved.
We knew there was a rift with him and Pogba. But having said that, Jose did come out and say Pogba wasn't the only kind of issue at the club.
This was quite recently.
And I think as fans, we've all identified over the last few months, there's massive problems at the football club. Do we make it worse by social media because it is so accessible for everybody? And when you see things floating around online, they can spread like wildfire. I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but if Pogba was to go, I think we're missing a trick in terms of recruitment hasn't been good enough to highlight his best qualities. But if he did go,
do you think he could lead us to taking us out of the dark time that we're in right now and putting us back into contention of that, looking for that number 3 or 4 spot, the next step up? Is he a natural leader? Because
I think he is.
It's always
because
debated on Sky Sports, Souness, Redknapp. They all say, he's not a leader. He is a leader. He showed leadership qualities. For me, in the World Cup, we saw on social media that the videos went out. I think it was before the final. He was in the dressing room, he was amping everyone up, and they went on to smash it in the final.
And I think there's some look. You've got to understand, in that French national team, there's some big personalities in there. So for him to be the man standing in that changing room,
still very young, man.
Still young. The vocally he was very, very strong in that dressing room, and I imagine he is like that at United. But I just think the club and the squad and the team around him is just simply not good enough. You can't have somebody who's a World Cup winner, expect him to do everything, but then behind him you've got Phil Jones, Smalling and Ashley Young. It just doesn't add up, It'll be interesting. Look, I hope we keep Pogba. Over the summer, recruitment we know has to be massive. But I think he needs a couple of hard-working midfielders. Ander Herrera for me was one of them.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for him, he's gone. But we need a couple of players who are prepared to do the kind of dirty work, if you like, for Pogba.
Let's talk hypothetically. Let's say he wasn't in that squad this season. Where would we have been further down the table?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because what people don't or might not talk about, which I think is worth highlighting, is during games when he is doing well or having an okay game, what he does do very well, he can look after the ball quite well.
Yeah.
He protects it quite well. I'm not sure what the hell our style of play is at the moment. Ollie came in and said he wants to inject that, width back into the United team, attacking play and press high. We saw it for the first few games, but again, due to injuries in the squad, I think we had to change the style of play. I don't know what we changed it to, because watching the last few games, I didn't know what we were doing. But one thing about Pogba, what I do like about him, he does look after the ball, and it allows players to get further up the pitch, have a little bit of a breather. But people kind of watch games sometimes with blinkers on, I think, and don't look too much into what he maybe does.
They kind of have their preconception of the opinion,
and they stick by that.
And if he does one bad thing, that's going to be highlighted rather than the 5 good things he might have done on the ball.
And for me, look, 7 odd years now without challenging or winning a title. Patience is now something we have to accept we have to be. And that's not just in terms of going to win titles, in terms of starting from now, rebuilding this team under Ollie. His recruitment, but I think we have to accept we're not going to go and win the league next year. I highly doubt we're going to even go and challenge for it. We have to be realistic, we have to be patient, and I would use Pogba to build this team around, definitely.
I mean, in terms of the big question, is he going to stay? Guys out there, you might have seen the recent Evra and Gary Neville interview got dropped a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Great watch. I mean, just a bit off topic, Evra, what a fucking legend.
Oh, mate.
The way he was just discussing about the club, he's
passionate.
He's like, Van Persie came to the club and I told him, you're playing for a man club now. Yeah. He's like, every day.
He's real.
Yeah.
He's real.
And I think Gary asked him, we're going to talk about director of football a bit later in this video, but very quickly, he asked Evra, have you thought about taking a board role? And he goes, if I took a board role, I'd have to dedicate my whole life to it. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now.
Is Monday motivation videos?
Yeah, man. So he's big up Evra, man. But yeah, in the interview, Evra said pretty much, I think he's going to leave.
And they're quite close as well. I know they're very close.
In the video he talks how they message daily, FaceTime, both French internationals, this and that, play together at Juventus. And if someone like that saying he thinks he's going to leave, whether Pogba said it to him or whether he's judging that off what he knows of Pogba,
knows of him, yeah.
He basically said, when you've got negativity around you, you should leave, and there is negativity around him.
It isn't. But then, I know from this video, and guys, leave your thoughts on the comment section below, because I know a lot of people also think Pogba is a bit of a bad egg in that changing room in the terms
people are calling him a virus.
Yeah,
and
the other young players, you've got your Martial, Lingard, Rashford, and you see it on social media, they're obviously a very tight-knit group of friendship away from football. Do they kind of get influenced by Pogba a little bit? Obviously, look, I can't comment too much on that. I know from and you guys know what we see on social media, but you would like to think them players understand that, they're representing United. If they want to kick on with their careers, they can't follow him. If he gets sold in the summer, then they're left to it.
Yeah.
But again, that's another whole kind of can of worms that could be open.
It's a major debate, and it's going to get even deeper as the transfer window goes on. So you're Pogba in?
I'm 100% Pogba in, but the club have to recruit around him.
Yeah.
But again, just quickly, this is what, and I know we're going to talk about it later, and I want to speak a bit more about the role of a director of football. Ollie came out and said that the structure needs to change. I've mentioned it in this video now. I don't know what our style of football is. So we need to change things and invest in a team that are going to play, and I believe, around Pogba. But do we know what this style of play is? Does Ollie know, what it is moving forward?
Ollie's had a lot of, stick and praise as well. The run he went on to those 12 games of, I think it was 12 without a win.
Yeah.
now's the time where he's got his managerial qualities and skills are going to be tested as to what style of football you're going to play, what formation you're going to play, how you're going to amp these players up. And Pogba could be either the key to that or the key to the door out
of it. He's going to go one way or the other. But obviously, as the transfer window.
Speaking of transfers,
the
man in charge.
The man in charge. Obviously, Mr. Woodward coming out and obviously quoting about United's financial quarter.
Today was the third financial quarter of the companies kind of showing their books.
Interestingly enough, though, Mr. Woodward come out and he's commented by saying, the business rather than saying the football club. We are a football club. First and foremost, we are a football club. Yes, it is being run as a business. But that just sums him up for me. Sums him up. He's coming out in the press, and rather than saying, look, we are going to invest and we are going to back the manager as a football club, he's come out and saying as a business. Yeah. And that is, I think, people's issue. Yes, look, I think you can't knock the revenue he's bringing in for the club, but you're good at that. Stay to that.
Revenues went up 152 million, mainly due to broadcasting costs. If you go through the books, you can see a bit more about Glazer's dividends they took and all of that stuff. Going into a bit deeper, what Woodward said, he goes, the underlying strength of our business will allow us to support the manager Ollie and his team as we look to the future. He said it's been a turbulent season. It's a question of, it's all right saying it, but you're going to put your money where your mouth is.
This summer, over any summer I think I've ever experienced as a United fan, is the most important. We
mentioned this on the vlog. It's the most important window we're probably ever going to see in our lifetimes.
And what was quite interesting as well, over the fan cams that we did over the weekend, and while we were discussing, is how many fans were saying, look, we're not interested in seeing these big Galactico stars. We don't want to see 2 big signings over the summer just to keep us happy and then go and sell all their shirts because they're a marketing product for the football club. We need to sign players who we know are going to develop this team.
Players who are
hungry. And now that's why people are saying, do we revert back to the times of when we look for that young raw talent and we take a bit of a gamble on them, take a bit of a punt on them, and develop them into Manchester United players? And we did it with Ronaldo. He was far from the finished article when we signed him, but with the guidance and the coaching staff that we had at the time, obviously, look, he's gone on to achieve or having that tag of being the best footballer in the world along with Messi. And I think that's what the club needs to go and do now. I think we need to start investing. Forget the players who are falling out of the top 4 or 5 clubs, coming towards the end of their careers, because they're not up to the pace. They're being released from them clubs for a reason. But Ed Woodward needs to put the money back into the club.
I think when we were on the drive home, we spoke to Bobby on the phone. It's on the YouTube if you want to watch it. And he made a good point about Luke Shaw. He goes, Luke Shaw's playing because Luke Shaw's not being challenged.
100%.
Is that down to squad depth? So, going into a broader sense of that kind of theory, if we buy the young and hungry players which we're talking about now, your Daniel Jameses, the young players, or bring the youth in, the Chongs and Greenwoods, if you're putting them on the bench on a consistent basis, and then you got your Rashfords and Lingards, they're going to automatically step up because they know that, okay, if I play 2 or 3 shit games, I'm going to be dropped, and I've got youth coming in who could possibly take over.
So it's a great point, because I remember the PSG game away when we went and won that. We were missing Pogba that day. I think in the middle of the park, I might be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I'm sure it was McTominay, Fred and Pereira, I think, in there. But definitely McTominay and Fred in there. And look, we went to PSG and done a job. And the same Barcelona...
Thanks, Paul, though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And even the Barcelona game at home, again, McTominay done well. And then he was actually rested, I think, for the West Ham game on the weekend, rested for the away leg at Barcelona. And people were like, how funny is that we're saying that we haven't got depth to our squad. McTominay's come in, now we're resting him for the Barcelona away game. So like you said, I think the more the youth are given a chance, Greenwood come on the last day of the season, and it was a no-pressure game, but he was carrying the fight, he looked good, was my man of the match that day. Giving them a chance and just showing that, actually they are good enough to put the pressure on the players in the starting 11. People said we don't have the depth in the squad, so I do kind of agree with that. You look at the benches of the other top 3-4 clubs, they've got it in abundance. Like City could field 2 teams to win in that league.
Their team is just...
And just going back to the whole style of play thing, the thing with City and Liverpool now, because Liverpool, and I hate to say this, it kills me to say this, they're not just a one-off club challenging for the title.
2 seasons in a row.
Seasons in a row.
Champions League final.
Champions League final. Klopp over the last 4 years, he's obviously got a model of how he wants this club to be run, and they're doing that. That's what I think we need to get to, because it doesn't matter who plays in that starting 11 for them clubs. They know the system and they know their jobs. When we replace players, we don't know what we're going to be doing.
This is the whole
And that's why I'm saying,
football.
guys, be patient. As United fans, you have to be patient.
Yeah,
definitely.
we're gonna have to ride it out, man. But as long as Ed Woodward signs promising players, players that Ollie wants, players that are going to suit the Man United club.
Definitely.
As long as they're signed, as long as we see progression game after game, then we can handle the patience. It's when we don't see progression, we don't see substitution.
If we can see things happening, I think we know we have to be patient, but we want to see things happening. Look, moving on, Pav, I wanted to start talking as well about the player criticism that we've seen over the season, because there's been a lot of it, especially since we've had that relegation form towards the end of the season. On the fan cams we've been doing at games, I've seen a lot of fans and the same fans kind of changing opinion almost week to week.
It seems like, I mean, we were discussing this, a couple of weeks back, that kind of the introduction of social media and kind of how prevalent it's become in society today of checking news and how often people are on it. Is that due to the criticism kind of being highlighted more? Because when I'm scrolling through Twitter and Instagram, it's a lot of clickbaity titles. Pogba's going to leave, or Pogba, 0 out of 10 performance. A lot of this and that. Do you think a lot of it's being highlighted more now? Or?
I think so. Yeah, because the thing is as well, you get a lot of...
Because back in the day, it used to be back in the newspapers, you getting slated.
That's it. And how much could a newspaper print about X amount of players?
Yeah, you see a newspaper, maybe, you see it, but...
And the thing is, even with like the newspapers, a lot of it you'd just be like, it's
newspapers,
whatever. Yeah.
Now every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got a fucking blog or news site, and they're fucking,
And even our fan cams, it's a platform for you fans to voice your opinions. And like I said, I think
maybe that's what it's down to. There's more media outlets now for people to talk about.
About 100%.
When you put it all together, you got a collective. Pogba is actually.
And the other thing is also like. Touching on social media, you've got ex-players, Gary Neville, legend of our football club, very opinionated, does very, very well at his job.
Yeah, that's a very good... Yeah,
and I think he gives a very honest opinion as well. He's not all for United, he's very critical, but he can be because he's been there and done it. And as soon as he says something, like he a few weeks ago on Monday Night Football, he did a kind of a piece on, I think, on United and their performance on that weekend, and he really, it was after the Everton game when we lost 4-0, and he really laid into the team, and that went viral. Some of the things he came out and said, some people would be shocked by, but he was being truthful, because it means something to him. And it's people like him, when they come out and say stuff, it means something, and it spreads like wildfire online, and then the fans chip in with their opinion. A lot of it as well, I think, comes down to player wages. I think, do we demand a lot more out of players knowing what they're paid on? What do you think about that side of things?
Yeah, I think obviously back in the day, not back in the day, but like let's say 10, 15 years ago, what the wages were then, the wages are now, it's probably doubled. Some players, Sanchez, tripled, quadrupled. So, when society's wages haven't gone up that much, but player wages have, and broadcasting and this and that, ticket prices are going up. Obviously, you're going to have more of a right to think, okay, hang on, you're getting paid this much, I'm paying this much to get to a game. Paying all this money on a match day. Match days ain't fucking cheap, man.
It's
you know
not.
What I mean?
But the thing is I understand kind of obviously why a player feels he can demand that much or whatever. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's right, and I think the club or clubs have to have some sort of a wages cap or some sort of a structure in place, rather than the Sanchez issue we're facing at United now. He's come in, we chucked a massive contract at him in terms of wages. Yeah. He's not performed for us. Now, the issue that the club have found themselves in, I think we've lost Ander Herrera down to the back of that, because of he's thinking, I'm a senior player. Yeah. There's rumours going around that I should be potential captain of Manchester United, and there's someone, squad rotation player, or someone who's not making the first team on a lot more than all of us. David De Gea's in the same boat. Paul Pogba's in the same boat. So United have massively shot ourselves in the foot with that, and obviously as the transfer window or as it progresses over the summer, I do believe he will leave or take a pay cut. But I can't see him taking a pay cut. I can't see him saying, "Yeah, I'm happy to stay here, just pay me less." Yeah. He's probably got one more move in him before his career ends, so he'll be looking to move and get one more last big kind of payout. Sorry, but again, there was Pogba, Sanchez, Lukaku, Young, Smalling, and Jones, who all took criticism, and
big criticism this year.
The biggest one for me...
Deserved?
I think so.
Listing those players, I'll list them out for you. Tell me if it's deserved. Pogba?
Not deserved, and I shared my points earlier why.
Yeah. Sanchez? I don't even know who to ask you that, man.
Yeah.
Timberland, Mr. Lukaku?
Yeah, I think it's deserved. I don't think it's all gone his way. I think as the season's gone on, he's looked a frustrated figure. There was a time when he was playing more of a right-sided attacker, and Mata would play a false nine. And I don't know, he's just not looked comfortable. For me, he's got to go this summer as well. I think he's had enough time at United.
And the rock solid back three, Young, Smalling, and
Mate,
Jones.
don't even get me started. I've spoke about them so much over the last few weeks. As every United fan has,
they're just not. They're not up to scratch. And
for me, Ashley Young, he's come in, he's done a job. Fair enough, great. Time to move him on. With Jones and Smalling, they've had more than enough time at United to prove themselves.
Man. I mean, Smalling. I think there was a one season. I think it might have been Van Gaal's first or second.
Mike Smalling.
Yeah, where he actually saved us on many occasions. Then I thought, you know what, this is a season that he's going to kick on and actually, be a bit of a leader for the club.
Yeah, he never. The thing is, even like Smalling, even if they kept him as a squad player, I wouldn't even be too fussed because
if he was like a backup.
I think he could just fill in and do a job.
Jones has got to go though.
Jones isn't even a fill-in. He's just a clown. Like some of the things he does. I forgot what game I was at. I think it was Southampton game, but he's gone up for a header and the ball's coming in. He's gone up for a header and he's landed before the ball's even got anywhere and he's gone straight over him. Calamity, mate. I don't know how he's still at the football club, but them three definitely have to go this summer. And their stick, mate, like Ashley Young, the home leg against Barcelona, the amount of times he gave the ball away. We got in good attacking positions, but that's the difference. Liverpool, again, have got two fullbacks, young fullbacks who know their jobs. Their deliveries into the box are unbelievable. So they're attacking with two wingers, Liverpool, on each side. Defensively, they're both very sound as well. And for me, United have always had solid fullbacks, and that's where our joy comes, because we get the ball wide, overlapping fullbacks, and it's just breaking down for us. Pav, also, look, I just wanted to also touch on the director of football at the football club. So look, Fletcher, Mr. Darren Fletcher, was mentioned in the week.
I think I sent it to you on WhatsApp, and it was
Mate, when you sent it to me and I opened it up, I actually thought it was like some sort of spam or like some spoof app or something. Then when I saw it, no, it is Sky Sports. Not always reliable, but the fact it's on there, something's obviously come out from somewhere. But what are your thoughts on that?
He's still available to play for Scotland, isn't he? Fuck it, man. I don't know, in terms of experience, can he go out there and negotiate deals, speak to players, sort out contracts? Be able to drive.
The thing I don't get is we've gone from potentially first it was Mike Phelan, but we know he signed his deal as assistant manager. He's going to stay on. Then he's gone maybe Van der Sar. For me, I think he would be brilliant to bring in because he's been working with Ajax. They've had an unbelievable season with the youngsters they've obviously put together there. Then we spoke to the unofficial pundit Kaz, who was on one of our fan cams. He actually did our season review with us after the Cardiff game. Very good. And Kaz mentioned on there, it needs somebody with a bit of style, somebody who kind of, can go in there and kind of manipulate a little bit, and maybe put his points across quite firmly to the board. Rio Ferdinand was mentioned. Is he somebody, again, he understands a football club, is he somebody who would be fit for the role? What is a role? What is the role of the
director? This is what you're saying, man. Everyone says we need a director of football. You ask them, what is a director of football?
Don't understand.
They go and sort out signings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, we don't know whether you bring in. We've gone through such a period of bringing in experience not working, bringing in experience.
Do we need to cut the mould? Because look, people have been banging on about it as well. About everything is based around the class of '92, or ex-United players, or people who understand the club. We look at City and other clubs who are now progressing and pushing forward in European football across the board. Do we need to break the mould and bring somebody else in who just understands European football and understands players who are out there that would fit the mould of a team like United and what it means to wear the badge?
Yeah, I mean, we need someone. We need experience in this sort of role. It's not a role you can just hand to somebody like Fletcher and say, go and do a good job, because he's going to have a settling in period. He's going to have to get used to it. We need someone who's going to come in, big impact, and put us in the right structure and work well with Ed and be the mediator between Ed, Ollie, and the club as a whole.
Because some people have also come out and said, and again, it's United fans who've been commenting on my videos and messaging me on the socials saying, unfortunately, while Sir Alex Ferguson is involved with the football club actively, with a position upstairs, we're not ever going to break out of this mould of bringing in people or outsiders into the club for such positions. Can't knock Sir Alex Ferguson for what he did for the football club. He took us to an unbelievable level over the 26 years that he was in charge. Where do you stand on that? Do you think he is a bit... He does, pull the strings a little bit from behind in terms of who comes in and who does what?
The thing is, when Fergie was in charge, same with Wenger at Arsenal, they ran the joint. Top to bottom. They walk down the corridor, see the tea lady, see a chef from the kitchen. They know who they are. Everyone. They know their name.
Yeah.
Football's changed. We haven't changed. We haven't adapted. In terms of is Fergie still putting the strings behind there? It's probably He's close with Ollie. He's advising Ollie a little bit behind the scenes.
And that I don't mind. I think Ollie, he needs that. He needs that. But look, again, you guys as fans, leave your comments in the section below about, what are your thoughts on as a club? Do we need to move forward? Do we need to open it up a little bit and bring in?
I was watching the Henry Winter interview with the full-time Devils.
It's worth checking out as well, guys, if you haven't.
Really good interview. And Winter said he'd like to see Gary Neville hit the board and see what he could do.
Again, look, I'm going to sound like I might be contradicting myself, but again, he's someone who I could understand why, because he's passionate about United. He speaks the truth.
He'd go in there and he'd put
shake things up a bit.
A lot of people in their place because he's a bit known.
He's been there and done it, and you don't
Obviously,
mind that.
the stuff at Valencia, had a bit of a poor time there, but it's two different roles, the manager and on
but again, I
board.
think he would work quite well with Ollie because of he's obviously played with him. They're teammates, they're mates. For him being that link, I think he's quite passionate, and his personality is quite strong to actually make that link between the board, and the management. But look, Pav, just before we wrap up, I wanted to talk about the new kit. United's new kit has been released. If you haven't seen it already, head over. Yeah, good. It's like obviously a bit of a tribute as well to the '99 team, but inspiration.
It's inspired by that design, but I think it's going to take a bit more than that to inspire that team, man.
Mate, they need to maybe take them with a tour of the trophy room
I think so,
show them, we're missing some of these. But guys, listen, thanks a lot for tuning into the video. I hope you've enjoyed the content we've brought to you. Look, our platform and our channel is not just about my thoughts and producer Pav's thoughts. It's about your platform as fans to voice, whatever you like about the football club. So leave your comments in the section below if there's anything you want us to cover in the future or anything that we've spoke about today. We're going to be bringing you guys loads of content over the summer.
A lot of transfer stuff.
Loads of transfer stuff. Loads of bits coming up. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the latest fan cam. Don't forget to subscribe on all the socials at Peaky Pundit to keep up to date with all the latest content. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to get all the alerts and stay up to date with everything that we do at United.